The Vishnu Purana, a system of Hindu mythology and tradition, translated from the original Sanskrit by H. Wilson, Bowden Professor of Sanskrit in the University of Oxford, Volume 5, Part 1, narrated by Anita Saran. Chapter 19, in which Akrura conveys Krishna and Rama near to Mathura and leaves them. They enter the town. Insolence of Kamsa's washerman. Krishna kills him. Civility of a flower seller. Krishna gives him his benediction. Thus the Yadava, Akrura, standing in the river, praised Krishna and worshipped him with imaginary incense and flowers. Disregarding all other objects, he fixed his whole mind upon the deity, and having continued for a long time in spiritual contemplation, he at last desisted from his abstraction, conceiving he had effected the purpose of soul. Coming up from the water of the Yamuna, he went to the car, and there he beheld Rama and Krishna, seated as before. As his looks denoted surprise, Krishna said to him, "Surely, Akrura, you have seen some marvel in the stream of the Yamuna, for your eyes are staring as if with astonishment." Akrura replied, "The marvel that I have seen in the stream of the Yamuna I behold before me even here, in a bodily shape. For he whom I have encountered in the water, Krishna, is also your wondrous self, of whose illustrious person the whole world is a miraculous development. Let us proceed to Mathura. I am afraid Kamsa will be angry at our delay. Such is the wretched consequence of eating the bread of another." Thus speaking, he urged on the quick horses, and they arrived after sunset at Mathura. When they came in sight of the city, Akrura said to Krishna and Rama, "You must now journey on foot while I proceed alone in the car. And you must not go to the house of Vasudeva, for the elder has been banished by Kamsa on your account." Akrura, having thus spoken, left them and entered the city. Whilst Rama and Krishna continued to walk along the royal road, regarded with pleasure by men and women, they went along sportively, looking like two young elephants. As they roamed about, they saw a washerman colouring clothes, and with smiling countenances they went and threw down some of his fine linen. The washerman was the servant of Kamsa, made insolent by his master's favour, and he provoked the two lads with loud and scurrilous abuse until Krishna struck him down with his head to the ground and killed him. Then, taking the clothes, they went their way clad in yellow and blue raiment until they came to a flower seller's shop. The flower seller looked at them with astonishment and wondered who they could be or whence they could have come. Seeing two youths so lovely, dressed in yellow and blue garments, he imagined them to be divinities descended upon earth. Being addressed by them with mouths budding like lotuses, and asked for some flowers, he placed his hands upon the ground and touched it with his head, saying, "My lords have shown me great kindness in coming to my home. Fortunate that I am, I will pay them homage." Having thus spoken, the flower seller, with a smiling aspect, gave them whatever choice flowers they selected to conciliate their favour. Repeatedly prostrating himself before them, he presented them with flowers, beautiful, fragrant, and fresh. Krishna then, being much pleased with him, gave him this blessing: "Fortune, good friend, who depends upon me, shall never forsake you. Never shall you suffer loss of vigour or loss of wealth. As long as time shall last, your descendants shall not fail. Having long tasted various delights on earth, you shall finally obtain, by calling me to the recollection, a heavenly region, the consequence of my favour. Your heart shall ever be intent on righteousness, and fullness of days shall be the portion of your posterity. Your descendants shall not be subject to natural infirmities, as long as the sun shall endure. Having thus spoken, Krishna and Rama, worshipped by the flower seller, went forth from his dwelling. Chapter 20. Krishna and Balarama met Kubja. She is made straight by the former. They proceed to the palace. Krishna breaks a bow intended for a trial of arms. Kamsa's orders to his servants. Public games. Krishna and his brother enter the arena. The former wrestles with Chanura, the latter with Mushtika. The king's wrestlers, who are both killed, Krishna attacks and slays Kamsa. He and Balarama do homage to Vasudeva and Devaki. The former praises Krishna. As they proceeded along the high road, they saw coming towards them a young girl who was crooked, carrying a pot of unguent. Krishna addressed her sportively and said, "For whom are you carrying that unguent? Tell me, lovely maiden, tell me truly." Spoken to as it were through affection, Kubja, well disposed towards Hari, replied to him also mirthfully, being smitten by his appearance. "Know you not, beloved, that I am the servant of Kamsa, and appointed crooked as I am, to prepare his perfumes? Unguent ground by any other he does not approve of, enriched through his liberal rewards." Then said Krishna, "Fair-faced damsel, give us of this unguent, fragrant and fit for kings, as much as we may rub upon our bodies." "Take it," answered Kubja, and she gave them as much of the unguent as was sufficient for their persons, and they rubbed it on various parts of their faces and bodies, till they looked like two clouds, one white and one black, decorated by the many-tinted bow of Indra. Then Krishna, skilled in the curative art, took hold of her under the chin with the thumb and two fingers, and lifted up her head, whilst with his feet he pressed down her feet, and in this way he made her straight. When she was thus relieved from her deformity, she was a most beautiful woman, and filled with gratitude and affection. She took Govinda by the garment and invited him to her house. Promising to come at some other time, Krishna smilingly dismissed her, and then laughed aloud on beholding the countenance of Baladeva. Dressed in blue and yellow garments and anointed with fragrant unguents, Kesava and Rama proceeded to the hall of arms, which was hung round with garlands. Inquiring of the warders which bow he was to try, and being directed to it, he took it and bent it. But drawing it with violence, he snapped it in two, and all Mathura resounded with the noise which its fracture occasioned. Abused by the warders for breaking the bow, Krishna and Rama retorted and defied them and left the hall. When Kamsa knew that Akrura had returned and heard that the bow had been broken, he thus said to Chanura and Mushtika, his boxers, "Two youths, cowherd boys, have arrived. You must kill them both in a trial of strength, in my presence, for they practice against my life. I shall be well pleased if you kill them in the match, and will give you whatever you wish, not else. These two foes of mine must be killed by you, fairly or unfairly. The kingdom shall be ours in common when they have perished." Having given them these orders, he sent next for his elephant driver and desired him to station his great elephant Kuvalayapida, who was as vast as a cloud charged with rain, near the gate of the arena, and drive him upon the two boys when they should attempt to enter. When Kamsa had issued these commands and ascertained that the platforms were all ready for the spectators, he awaited the rising of the sun, unconscious of impending death. In the morning, the citizens assembled on the platforms set apart for them, and the princes, with the ministers and courtiers, occupied the royal seats. Near the center of the circle, judges of the games were stationed by Kamsa, whilst he himself sat apart, close by, upon a lofty throne. Separate platforms were erected for the ladies of the palace, for the courtesans, and for the wives of the citizens. Nanda and the cowherds had places appropriated to them, at the end of which sat Akrura and Vasudeva. Amongst the wives of the citizens appeared Devaki, mourning for her son, whose lovely face she longed to behold, even in the hour of his destruction. What must steal? When the musical instruments sounded, Chanura sprang forth, and the people cried, "Alas!" and Mushtika slapped his arms in defiance. Covered with must, and blood from the elephant, whom when goaded upon then by his driver they had slain, and armed with his tusks, Balabhadra and Janardana confidently entered the arena. Like two lions amidst a herd of deer, exclamations of pity arose from all the spectators. Along with the expressions of astonishment. "This then," said the people, "is Krishna. This is Balabhadra. This is he by whom the fierce night walker Purana was slain, by whom the wagon was overturned, and the two Arjuna trees felled. This is the boy who trampled and danced on the serpent Kaliya, who upheld the mountain Govardhana for 7 nights, who killed as if in play the iniquitous Arishta, Dhenuka, and Kesan. This whom we see is Achyuta. This is he who has been foretold by the wise, skilled in the sense of the Puranas, as Gopala, who shall exalt the depressed Yadava race. This is the portion of the all-existing, all-generating Vishnu descended upon earth, who will assuredly lighten her load. Thus did the citizens describe Rama and Krishna as soon as they appeared, whilst the breast of Devaki glowed with maternal affection, and Vasudeva, forgetting his infirmities, felt himself young again on beholding the countenances of his sons as a season of rejoicing. The women of the palace and the wives of the citizens wide opened their eyes and gazed intently upon Krishna. "Look, friends," said they to their companions, "look at the face of Krishna. His eyes are reddened by his conflict with the elephant, and the drops of perspiration stand upon his cheeks, outvying a full-blown lotus in autumn, studded with glittering dew. Avail yourself now of the faculty of vision. Observe his breast, the seat of splendor, marked by the mystic sign, and his arms, menacing destruction to his foes. Do you not notice Balabhadra, dressed in a blue garment, his countenance as fair as the jasmine, as the moon, as the fibers of the lotus stem? See how he gently smiles at the gestures of Mustika and Chanura as they spring up. And now, behold Hari, advance to encounter Chanura. What? Are there no elders, judges of the field? How can the delicate form of Hari, only yet in the dawn of adolescence, be regarded as a match for the vast and adamantine bulk of the great demon? Two youths of light and elegant persons are in the arena to oppose athletic fiends, headed by the cruel Chanura. This is a great sin in the judges of the games, for the umpires who suffer a contest between boys and strong men. As thus the women of the city conversed with one another, Hari, having tightened his girdle, danced in the ring, shaking the ground on which he trod. Balabhadra also danced, slapping his arms in defiance. Where the ground was firm, the invincible Krishna contended foot to foot with Chanura. The practiced demon, Mustika, was opposed by Balabhadra. Mutually entwining and pushing and pulling and beating each other with fists, arms and elbows, pressing each other with their knees, interlacing their arms, kicking with their feet, pressing with their whole weight upon one another, fought Hari and Chanura. Desperate was the struggle, though without weapons, and one for life and death, to the great gratification of the spectators. In proportion as the contest continued, so Chanura was gradually losing something of his original vigor, and the wreath upon his head trembled from his fury and distress, whilst the world comprehending Krishna wrestled with him as if but in sport, beholding Chanura losing and Krishna gaining strength. Kamsa, furious with rage, commanded the music to cease. As soon as the drums and trumpets were silenced, a numerous band of heavenly instruments was heard in the sky, and the gods invisibly exclaimed, "Victory to Govinda! Keshava, kill the demon Chanura! Victory to Govinda! Keshava, kill the demon Chanura!" Madhusudana, having for a long time dallied with his adversary, at last lifted him up and whirled him around with the intention of putting an end to him. Having whirled Chanura round 100 times until his breath was expended in the air, Krishna dashed him to the ground with such violence as to smash his body into 100 fragments and strew the earth with 100 pools of gory mire. Whilst this took place, the mighty Baladeva was engaged in the same manner with the demon bruiser Mustika. Striking him on the head with his fists and on the breast with his knees, he stretched him on the ground and pummeled him there till he was dead. Again, Krishna encountered the royal bruiser Tosalaka and felled him to the earth with a blow of his left hand. When the other athletes saw Chanura, Mustika and Tosalaka killed, they fled from the field, and Krishna and Sankarshana danced victorious on the arena, dragging along with them by force the cowards of their own age. Kamsa, his eyes reddening with wrath, called aloud to the surrounding people, "Drive those two cowboys out of the assembly. Seize the villain Nanda and secure him with chains of iron. Put Vasudeva to death with tortures intolerable to his ears, and lay hands upon the cattle and whatever else belongs to those cowherds who are the associates of Krishna." Upon hearing these orders, the destroyer of Madhu laughed at Kamsa, and springing up to the place where he was seated, laid hold of him by the hair of his head and struck his tiara to the ground. Then, casting him down upon the earth, Govinda threw himself upon him. Crushed by the weight of the upholder of the universe, the son of Ugrasena, Kamsa, the king, gave up the ghost. Krishna then dragged the dead body by the hair of the head into the center of the arena, and a deep furrow was made by the vast and heavy carcass of Kamsa when it was dragged along the ground by Krishna, as if a torrent of water had run through it. Seeing Kamsa thus treated, his brother Sunaman came to his succor, but he was encountered and easily killed by Balabhadra. Then arose a general cry of grief from the surrounding circle as they beheld the king of Mathura thus slain and treated with such contumely by Krishna. Krishna, accompanied by Balabhadra, embraced the feet of Vasudeva and of Devaki, but Vasudeva raised him up, and he and Devaki, recalling to recollection what he had said to them at his birth, they bowed to Janardhana, and the former thus addressed him, "Have compassion upon mortals, O God benefactor and Lord of deities. It is by thy favour to us too that thou hast become the present upholder of the world, that for the punishment of the rebellions thou hast descended upon earth in my house, having been propitiated by my prayers, sanctifies our race. Thou art the heart of all creatures, thou abidest in all creatures, and all that has been or will be emanates from there. From thee, O universal spirit, thou Achyuta, who comprehendest all the gods, art eternally worshipped with sacrifices. Thou art sacrifice itself, and the offerer of sacrifices. The affection that inspires my heart and the heart of Devaki towards thee, as if thou wast our child, is indeed but error and a great delusion. How shall the tongue of a mortal such as I am call the Creator of all things who is without beginning or end son? Is it consistent that the Lord of the world, from whom the world proceeds, should be born of me except through illusion? How should he, in whom all fixed and movable things are contained, be conceived in the womb and born of a mortal being? Have compassion, therefore, indeed, O Supreme Lord, and in thy descended portions protect the universe. Thou art no son of mine. This whole world, from Brahma to a tree, thou art. Wherefore dost thou, who art one with the Supreme, beguile us? Blinded by delusion, I thought thee my son, and for thee, who art beyond all fear, I dreaded the anger of Kamsa, and therefore did I take thee in my terror to Gokula, where thou hast grown up. But I no longer claim thee as mine own. Thou, Vishnu, the sovereign Lord of all, whose actions Rudra, the Maruts, the Ashwins, Indra, and the gods cannot equal, although they behold them. Thou, who hast come amongst us for the benefit of the world, art recognized, and delusion is no more.